Hello, beautiful people. It's Mai here from Nintendo Life. And once again, I'm not alone. I am joined again by the lovely Jim. Hello, lovely to have you here, Jim.
At it again, I feel positively like a regular by this point. Look at me go.
I know, just keep having the gym corner. That's what we should call it as. But today we're talking about something a little bit different rather than monthly games. We're talking about a certain trip that you had visiting Ubisoft over in Montpellier to, what were you viewing this time round, busy man?
I was in Montpellier at the end of last month, and I was viewing Rayman Legends Retold, which you might have just seen crop up in the last few hours. Rayman Legends Retold, as its name suggests, is Rayman Legends again. But Ubisoft Montpellier has teamed up with Ubisoft Milan for a complete remake of the game. And there's quite a lot to talk about with this one, isn't there, Mai?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose my first question is, so Rayman Legends has a pretty longish history with Nintendo anyway. This title came out in Wii U on 2013, came out on the Switch in 2017 with its definitive edition. There you go. Already, we're professionals. Did you manage to find out exactly why they decided to retell the story? And my big question is, being a bit of a long-time Rayman fan from back in the olden days, why not the original trilogy? That's my big question.
Yes, that was my big question too, going into this one, because I love Rayman Legends. I first played it back in 2013 on the PS Vita, and I played it on the Wii U shortly after that when I finally got a Wii U a few years ago. I've played it through twice on the Switch. I really love this game, and seeing that it was very similar to that game again in Retold put me in a slightly difficult spot, because it's a game that I really love, and any opportunity to replay it is great, and I gladly will replay it. But also, it is just replaying the same game again. So I was lucky enough to sit down with a few of the devs behind it, and I did ask them that very question. It's a question that they confessed they had been asked quite a lot on that day. There was a few of us journalists there playing the game, and they did give me a fairly reasonable answer, though it's one that I also have some trouble with. In short, they think that Rayman Legends, they correctly think that Rayman Legends is the most complete Rayman game. It is like, they love all the characters, they love all the levels, they love how it looks. And what they want is for Rayman Legends Retold to kind of be the ultimate starting point for the future of the franchise. They've developed this new art style, they've developed a new engine called the Snowdrop engine over their old UbiArt framework that they used for the original Rayman Legends and the Definitive Edition. And they want this Retold to be the ultimate jumping in point. Perhaps people who haven't played it before, perhaps people who did play it but they only played it back in 2013, which was 13 years ago now, which is quite a long time ago. So yes, they are starting again with Legends because they think that it's the best jumping in point for everyone.
Fair enough. I mean, it's been a long time since I've played the original Legends. But aside from that, it was the original trilogy. So when I jumped into Legends, I was like, who are these people? I'm very confused. But it's nice being able to jump back into it. I know I'll be wanting to have a go at it when it does release, which we now have an announcement date when that will be coming out. It's October, I remember you saying?
October the 1st.
Yes. But what were your first impressions when you finally got to have your hands on it and had a go at it? It does look, from what I saw in the footage, not too dissimilar to what the original game was like in the sense of gameplay, that is.
Yes, yeah. Again, it's an interesting one. From a gameplay standpoint, it is Rayman Legends again. I got to see some of the level design process and these new engines working together, and it very much is, bar some small tweaks here and there, the levels from Rayman Legends put into the new 3D engine to make them look fancy like they do. And as I said earlier, that's great. These levels absolutely rule. Like, they're awesome, and it's one of my favorite platformers of the last 13 years, I suppose, for a reason. But it is the same game again. There are a couple of new bits here and there. There's some 3D dragon ride sequences, which are very Star Fox vibey in their gameplay. It's on rails. shooting, flying. They are your way to get between the worlds, because there's a brand new world map this time around. It doesn't have any Super Mario 64 canvas jumping. Not this time around. No, we've got a new world map, a new dragon ride between the worlds. There's also a handful of new levels sprinkled in here and there, and a brand new 6th world at the end. I suppose technically 7th world. The original had a special musical, but you know what? That's besides the point. There's a whole new world as well called Land of the Livid Dead, which is... From what I've seen, I only got to see the very first level of that, but it has a fun kind of magical light mechanic, which I hope will go somewhere, because the original game did a really good job of developing its mechanics across its worlds. It would introduce something at the start, and then in a very Nintendo way, it would gradually develop as the world went on. So from a gameplay standpoint, very similar with a couple of extras. The big addition, and it's something that you just brought up, Mai, is the new visual style, which is going to be, I don't know about divisive. It didn't do much for me. I love the style of the original because it has some charm to it. Like, it's very stylized.
Hand-drawn style, yeah.
In that hand-drawn kind of cartoony look. This new one, realistic feels like the wrong word, but it's certainly far more detailed. There's a lot more going on. And that may be great for you, that may be great for some people. It didn't really work for me because I love the style of the original. I also had some small issues where I think that it harmed the readability of the level a little bit. I think that it's not as if the original came with big blocky outlines or anything like that, but I just found it slightly easier to read, perhaps with fewer details in the background. But also I'm well aware that I was playing an early build of the game in Montpellier, so there's plenty of time for them to iron stuff out like that.
It's funny you should say about the art style. Like, I think both of them are very charming in their own way. I initially didn't think that the new one looked more like realistic or anything. I initially thought, hey, this looks a little bit claymation-y. Probably because of its being in 3D. But as you mentioned, you played a very early build, but you did manage to have a look at a Switch 2 version, because was it primarily like a PC build you were playing in comparison?
It was primarily PC that I played on, yeah. But I got to see a very small amount of the Switch 2 version. Like, just for comparison, I played about 2 hours of the game on PC. And I got to see a snippet of the first level on Switch 2. And it seemed to be running very well. They're targeting 60 frames per second, and to my eye, it looked like it was hitting that consistently, which is wonderful. The resolution, I couldn't get a precise number on that, but they were talking about it being up to 4K in docked mode, using some wonderful DLSS magic, which is great. Obviously, some things have been cut back a little bit on handheld, resolution-wise, and perhaps in terms of detail, because, as I say, those backgrounds and some of the things that are happening on screen are really very detailed. But yeah, it looks like it'll be a very good experience on Switch 2 as well.
I will also preface as well, just so you know, everyone, we are mentioning stuff that, like the new levels, which unfortunately we cannot include footage on here due to lovely embargoes and whatnot. But I'm sure in the future we'll be able to kind of show more lovely bits and bobs on there. But I suppose my kind of final big-ish question, you know, I grew up with the series, and I wouldn't say that I'm relatively new to the series. However, it's been a while since I've played any, like, you know, the games in quite some time. So I would probably ask, what would new players, as well as those who grew up with the franchise, expect with Rayman Legends Retold? Why should they pick up this instead of the original?
Yes, so you will have 3 options come October. You'll have the original 2013 release, you'll have the definitive edition in 2017, and then you will have Rayman Legends Retold. The question of whether this one is now the definitive one is one that I put to the developers. I said, are we now calling this definitive? And they said no. They said they think of these 2 games as kind of existing side by side. I don't know how much I agree with that from what I've seen so far, just in as much as the levels are exactly the same. There are some new ones, but they are exactly the same. It's going to be a mileage may vary, I think, on the visuals and just how much the new stuff, the new content affects the game. As I say, I only got to see a very little bit of the new stuff so far. It's frankly too soon, I think, for me to say whether you should pick up Retold over the original or over the definitive edition. I think that from me and my view of those visuals, I'm going to be going back to the definitive edition on my Switch. But who knows? Who knows? Retold's new content could be enough to break me back in. What I will say is that the Kung Foot mini game, the football game mode, returns, and it is just as great
amazing
as it was on previous systems. There are some new arenas, there are some new rules, which makes it a really, really fun time still. This is my conclusion about the whole thing. The game was great. The game is still great. And if that brings more people in, if all of this means that we get more new Rayman down the line, if that Ubisoft promise of this is setting the tempo for the future pays off, then that's only a good thing. Because much like you, Mike, I love Rayman.
Yeah, and you never know. Maybe in the Switch 2 version, they'll surprise us by having a mouse mode where you can have Rayman's arms go flailing all over the place. That would be great. Just thinking that
maybe.
now.
Maybe we could have. I mean, the original, the Wii U one, made use of the touchpad for Murphy to control Murphy around. I didn't see any of that because, as I say, I didn't play on Switch 2. But who knows? Who knows? The world is Rayman's oyster.
That it is, my dear. And just like that, guys, that's all we've got today talking about the preview. Again, thank you so much, Jim, for joining me once again, chatting about lovely Rayman now. And also thank you to lovely Ubisoft for inviting us along to preview Rayman Legends Retold. Now, let us know in the comments below, everyone. Are you going to be picking up Rayman Legends, or are you going to stick with the original or the definitive edition? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're there, if you're not done so already, why don't you, extend your phantom arms a la Rayman and punch that subscribe button to no end. And check out nintendolife.com for more lovely Nintendo bits and bobs, and for Jim's preview article, which will be linked below in the description. In the meantime, thank you all so much for watching, and have a good one. Bye.